beautiful people, welcome to another interesting and enlightening episode on Executive Chats. And you all know it's a platform that connects you with role models in the entrepreneurial, arts and social industries. And you know our guest shares their wealth of experience and of course, versatile knowledge. My name is Oluwadamlola Ojo. Thanks for joining me again on the show. Yes, and today we'll be talking about business startups. And if you're a business startup, this is the best episode for you to watch. And of course, we have our guest right here. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back on the show, and this is still Executive Chat. There is a saying according to Colin Powell. It said there is no secret to success. It is the result of preparation, hard work, and learning from failure. That's why today, as I told you earlier before we went for that break, we're talking about business plans and of course proposals, good project management. And we have our guest right here who is an associate of Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria. Of course, we have Shorosola Barton. Welcome on the show, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so which Shorosola Barton?
Okay, once again, thanks for having me here.
Yes.
Shorosola Barton is a business professional.
Okay.
I'm an expert in human resource management, in project management, in business process improvement, and in Lean Six Sigma methodology.
Okay. How important is business plans for a business startup?
Business plan is absolutely important. I mean, I can't begin to emphasize the importance of a business plan. Do you understand? Before you start a business, you have to plan for it. You understand? Hence the business plan. The business plan is important because usually an entrepreneur does not have all the funds or the capital that the business requires. And any serious venture capitalist, investor, bank will ask you for a business plan. No matter how small that business is, no matter how large, no matter how complicated, no matter how simple, you need a business plan. If you're starting a bank that would require 25 billion naira as the minimum capital fund, you need a business plan. If you're starting a small 50,000 naira, a small 30,000 naira business on the side, you need a business plan. The business plan helps you to identify your target market. The business plan also helps you identify who your competitors are, because your investors want to see these things. They want to see in detail what it is about. Even the business plan will also tell who will run the business. Is this person qualified to run the business? Am I going to be putting XYZ amount of money into a startup without seeing some kind of scientific basis for the business? Because the business plan is like a scientific basis for the existence. It is an argument for why the business should start. It is an argument for why the business will survive. It's an argument for why the business should exist. You understand? So it will explain who the customers are, who the competitor is, a market analysis, and then what the requirements are. Do we need 5 people to start? Do we need 3 people? Depending on the kind of business, where should it be located? Do you understand? So a business plan is so absolutely important. But my experience with this side of the world is that many people just plunge into that business. They just want to get started and leave what is the most important ingredient, the most pivotal ingredient. They leave it out.
Okay, so about that, what are the basic things that business plans need? What are these basic things we need to know?
A business plan needs an executive summary.
Okay.
And that's exactly, I mean, in a nutshell, executive summary, it's exactly how it sounds, a summary, like I said, of what the business is about. Again, it needs a market analysis. It needs a competitor analysis. It needs a breakdown of startup funds. It also has a breakdown of when and how soon you expect to start making returns. Because if you need 2 million or 3 million to start a business, and you have a fraction of that, it means you have to raise that money somehow. And if you approach any financial institution, whether it's a microfinance bank, whether it's a major bank, whether it's your friends, whether it's your family, if they understand business, they will be asking you these questions. That's okay. Do you know about this business? Have you done your homework? Do you understand? Are you sure that in the 24 months or in the 36 months that you've targeted as the period where there will be a turnaround and people will begin to get their money back, are you sure you can do it? Because we're all guiding our resources, we're all guiding our capital, and we want to be sure that, okay, we're putting it in this venture, and this venture must deliver.
Okay, so how do you write a winning proposal?
Well, it's very straightforward, really. Just keep it simple. It may sound like a cliche, but that's the truth. Just keep it simple. Too many times, we see people who are trying to over-impress, so they end up writing 4, 5, 10 pages when all you need is a page or 2 at most. They end up using grandiose words, big sounding words that are either out of context or will even confuse the reader. So these are things that one needs to consider. Your business proposal must be as brief as possible, because the man or the woman reading it, and on whose shoulders rests that ultimate decision to give you that business, right, or that contract, or whatever it is you are seeking, which is the basis of your proposal, has very little time. They have short attention spans. They have 2 minutes, 5 minutes at most. So when you're bringing a 4, 5 page, 6 page, and we're talking about, you begin to confuse them. You understand? So keep it simple, use simple language, and hit the valid points that you need to hit, because that proposal will be speaking on your behalf while you are not there.
Okay, we'll be going on this breather, and when we come back, we'll still be talking more on business plans. Welcome back, and we're still here on Executive Chat. I still have my guest, Sola Barton. What are the things you think has hindered the growth of one-man business or an entrepreneur in Nigeria?
Good question. Okay, first things first, we've been talking about business plans and proposals, and the fact that they are either non-existent or they were poorly prepared. They were poorly put together. That's one. 2, I think it's a cultural problem too. One of my favorite writers, his name is Malcolm Gladwell. He wrote a book titled The Outliers. And in The Outliers, Gladwell analyzed power distance indexes in more than 100 countries across the world. And he noticed that the more economically advanced countries have low PDIs, power distance indexes, the more impoverished or the more economically disadvantaged a country is, the higher the PDI in question. Now, why am I saying this? It's cultural, because you have a situation where a man starts a business or a woman starts a business, and because in Africa and most third world environments, the PDI is low. So you have a situation where people have to walk on eggshells around the one man who owns that business. They're afraid to lose their jobs. They don't want to speak the truth as it is, even if it is the glaring truth. In turn, the one man, in quotes, this could refer to a woman too. We're just using one man here as a generic term. He's also thinking, oh, I'm the one that has all the answers. I'm the one that has all the solutions. I once heard a story of how an executive, a young executive, was telling one of the founders of Nigeria's new generation banks, whose name we will we were withhold. And the man got up and said, "How old are you?" And the guy said he was 33. And he was like, "Well, when I was 33, I and two of my friends had started this bank. And this bank has been in business for 25 years and all that." I also have experiences, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, when an MD would never fail to remind me of how he's been in business for 20 years and all that. Yeah, if you've been in business for 20 years, it can improve. You certainly don't have all the answers. And that's why many businesses in Nigeria die when the owners get old or when the owners die. We don't need to mention names, but there's so much evidence that supports this assertion. They either wither away as the owner, the founder gets old because he hasn't, or he or she hasn't put in place the structure. There's no structure to grow the business, when they are not around. And it's a big problem. There's a lot of evidence suggesting that how many of the companies around today are older than 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. In the case where you even find some of them, are they really doing well? If they are doing well, what's your definition of doing well? Is it doing well, making a few millions every year, having a few members of staff on your payroll? Is that doing well? Amazon started in 1995, and Amazon is a multi-billion-dollar company. We also what happened with Apple when Steve Jobs passed three years ago, and I mean, Steve Jobs and his friends started Apple. Do you understand? But look at what he was able to put in place. The creativity of Apple is never in doubt, because since his death, Apple has churned out several more products and services, and they are still in business. They are doing well, and the death of that one man has not affected the business, has it? It hasn't.
Okay, so the last question for the list, of course. What are your advice to business startup? What do you think they should do?
Yeah, first things first, get the basics right. You don't rush into a business because you feel Mr. X or Mrs. Y made tremendous returns from it. You don't know how Mr. X or Mrs. Y raised their own funds. You don't know the expertise that they had. You don't know what it is that went right or wrong for them. So you have to know your own story. You have to know the industry as well as you can. And of course, get a business plan in place. You could write it yourself. If you cannot write it yourself, get a professional to write it for you.
All right, thank you very much for coming, and thank
you for having me.
All right. Thank you very, very much for watching. And you know my name, Oluwadamilola Ojo. You can catch me on our social media platforms. Executive Chat on Instagram. On Twitter, it says Executive Chat 1. And also on Facebook, www.facebook.com/Executive Chat. On same station, same time, next week. Bye for now. Stay inspired and be positive.